Hello everyone and welcome to Speak Your Mind Calm Stage webinar. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Before I begin the session and introduce our speaker, I want to wish all our viewers a very happy Pride Month. There's a very beautiful quote from a wonderful author that I happen to know and who I'm very glad to call a friend. He says, "Never let anyone else define you. Never let anyone else define who you are. They will always get it wrong. Never settle for that." With that said, and without further ado, I'd like to welcome our speaker who's joining us for our webinar, and she will be speaking on exploring societal attitudes towards homosexuality. Please welcome Anjali Malik, an affiliated counselor and psychologist. Welcome, Anjali. Welcome to our Calm Stage webinar. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm also good. So shall we begin?
Yes, but before we begin, I just want to mention that I'm here as a straight person, trying my level best to understand. So whatever I'm going to share is not going to be my lived experience. So I want to apologize in advance if there's any mistake.
That's awesome, Anjali. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we shall begin, and my first question is directed towards the therapy part of LGBT community. So the community is very vast and diverse with many different sexualities, the many different people being a part of the community. So as a psychologist, can you shed some light on therapy for LGBTQ teens, young adults and adults, as in how can they benefit from seeking help regarding their sexualities, understanding their sexualities, and getting resources to further help them in the future?
Okay, I think the therapy for LGBTQ will mainly be focused on understanding and acknowledging their struggles, their oppression, and I think tackling misinformation would be an inherent part of therapy here.
Okay.
Also, there may be internalized biases they may have which need to be dealt with. Then there can be feelings of shame and guilt or confusion, many negative feelings which have to be understood and dealt with. And there can be discrimination they may be facing from known people, even from family members. They may be facing violence or like withholding of resources. So knowledge about queer affirmative spaces and reading material and resources need to be given or provided.
Right.
So these are the areas.
So all the therapies that LGBTQ teens, adults and young adults can get is going to help them accepting themselves as they are without any discrimination, without internalized homophobia, because I have seen and even I've experienced there is a lot of internalized homophobia in people as well. So how do you think therapy can help with that?
In case of homophobia, I think there will be a need to understand themselves first,
right,
and like tackle their own biases, work on their own biases.
Okay. So speaking of therapy, what I've heard this term, and I've on my social media I've got news posts saying that UK is banning conversion therapy, or somewhere in the US they're banning conversion therapy. What do you think, where conversion therapy isn't banned yet, what do you think the impact of conversion therapy can have on an individual?
If you remember, there was a news where a person died by suicide some days after they had to undergo conversion therapy.
Right.
So I'm actually against conversion therapy. It's like saying you are wrong or you are not normal and you need to be fixed.
Exactly. So yeah, please continue.
Okay. I'll just give an example. Majority of the people are right-handed.
Right.
But some are left-handed too, and that is normal. So why can't we just accept people like that?
That's a wonderful example, Anjali. That's a very, very wonderful example. So my next question is a two-parter, and it's about inequality and facing equal acceptance in workplaces and school. My first question is that as a psychologist, what do you think a transgender or a non-binary person faces or goes through when they are met with inequality in workspaces or in school? And my second question is, what do you think they go through when they're met with acknowledgement and acceptance as they are?
Firstly, they'll have to assess the safety
Right.
if they have to, whether they want to come out at work or in school. Because if they come out, they'll be subjected to bias, even comments and curiosity, intrusive questions, and like people will consider that they are responsible for educating them.
Okay.
So there are a lot of factors they'll have to consider before coming out at work. However, if they are met with acknowledgement, affirmation, accepted, then I would think there can be nothing better than that, because the struggle is about acceptance.
Exactly. So accepting as they are, yeah, if they come out at workplace in a safe workplace, when they're met with acceptance, it can help boost their confidence and make them understand that their sexuality is nothing wrong and that they are perfect as they are.
Right.
That's awesome. So my next question is that because I'm a part of many LGBT allies and community groups on for social media, and even I've experienced this personally. Then when someone comes out saying that they identify as asexuals or gray sexuals or demisexual, they are met with I wouldn't exactly say scorn or disdain, but with a similar expression. Um, what I and our viewers would like to know is, what do you think as a counselor goes through their head when they are not accepted as a part of the community and outside of the community? So, like, what do you think they go through when they are excluded from the spectrum itself? They are not accepted on the spectrum as well as outside of it. So, how do you think it can help?
Coming out is also a process, and the person has to assess the safety and the consequences of coming out. So if they're not even accepted in the community, it's
Right.
going to be very hard. They'll feel isolated in their struggles, they'll feel alone, and the struggles faced by the community, like lack of legal rights, lack of partnership rights, social sanctions, other stresses, lack of representation and models, all of this will be amplified for them.
So, asexuality or any sexualities on the asexual spectrum is not fully accepted. So, what do you think we as allies and as counselors can do to help people on the asexual spectrum accept themselves, and we can do to accept themselves as part of our lives?
I believe that if we can create more awareness,
Okay.
provide more material, relevant material, I think that might help.
Okay, that's great. So, in the recent times, especially after the decriminalization of 377, Section 377 of the IP, Indian Penal Code in India, many people have come out with their stories. They have come out accepting their sexualities, but there's still somewhere, in some people's mind, there's still some internalized homophobia, and there's some internalized fear and shame about accepting their sexuality as they are. What do you think they can do to accept themselves as they are without any shame, without any guilt?
Okay, so I would like to acknowledge the privileges awarded to cishet people here. Like,
Okay.
our relationships are accepted and affirmed. We can get married, and our marriages are celebrated. Then the laws are also in our favor. So,
Right.
like, we can just be who we are. So, this is the responsibility is on us, that we create such a space for them to feel safe, for like them to just be themselves. Okay, we talk about creating a safe space for women where they can go out. They
Mhm.
don't have to fear. We don't question women, why can't you go out?
Right.
So similarly, that this responsibility is on us. to create that environment, to that non-normative is also normal.
Right. So I like to say an example here. So what if someone is let's say a bisexual, and they are scared of coming out to their family and to their friends because it's not like their family and friends won't accept them. Having understanding that their family is very acceptance and very how do I say, very normal with their acceptance. It's okay to come out, they know that, but there's a little fear inside them that if they come out, then they'll be somehow what a different person that they have been their whole lives. So what do you think what do you think a person can do to accept themselves? What do you think the person can take some steps? What steps do you think can be taken to help them understand themselves and accept themselves before they come out to the family?
I think if we talk about therapy, then we'll have to explore what are the feelings they are facing, what is their dilemma,
Okay.
what is stopping them from coming out.
Okay, so
they can
let me give an
like
example. Right. So let's say it's shame, maybe fear. These are two major emotions that come to my mind. So what do you think if someone is, so if we've accepted that someone is feared, someone is scared, and someone is feeling ashamed of their own selves, what do you think the next step should be?
understanding where the fear is coming from, where the shame is coming from, understanding how real it is there a threat? If the
Okay.
family is accepting, then we can see that the threat is not as real as they might be considering it.
Okay. Okay, that's a wonderful thing to say. So my next question, Anjali, is against fighting homophobia. Fighting against homophobia, sorry. The community has been trying very hard and for decades to accept then accept a space in the society as and they have been fighting for equal rights and equality, and fighting against inequality and homophobia. So what do you think we have been doing, and we have still reached halfway? We're still not fully won properly. So what do you think we've been doing wrong in the last few decades, and what can we still do to make sure we win this fight equally and equally and fight properly against inequality, equal rights, and homophobia?
We believe that there are two kinds of bodies, two kinds of genders, one kind of
Right.
sexuality, and one kind of relationship. So we have to understand there are multiple bodies, multiple genders, multiple sexualities and relationships. So I think what we have been doing wrong is not creating enough awareness. There's lack of representation in media and books. When we think of family, a man and a woman and a child, one or two children come to our mind.
Yes.
So there is a huge lack of representation. We don't think of two women or two men or
Right.
any other combination.
Okay. This is very important thing that we need to keep in mind. We have even in media we have seen movies come out. We have seen books. There are people who are writing about two people who are of the same gender, the same sex, and they are in the main lead. They are not the supporting role. They don't have a supporting role in books or even in media. We have seen a movie recently in India with that Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan came out. We saw all that. We saw what two men in love had to fight for. So what do you think, even with that representation, what do you think we can do?
I think that's a very good example, and this might have brought a little bit change, but we need to do more of that. We need to have more books, which not just story books, but for children as well.
Right. So you think that we need to start teaching our children this thing that everyone is equal, everyone is as perfect as they are, and they don't need to change anything from kindergarten to school. So that should be in that. Do you think that that should be a curriculum in school, teaching about pride?
Yes, I think so, because our concept of gender is formed in early years,
Right.
when we are in school. So if we
Mhm.
include those things, children may become more accepting. I'll give you an example. A child asks, "Why are you dressed like a woman when you are a boy?" So the person replied, "My body is that of a man, but my heart and mind is that of a woman." And the child was convinced. It was as simple as that for them.
That's a very, very wonderful example. So this was an awesome session, very interesting. I learned some new things from you, and I hope our viewers did too. Thank you for being a part of this webinar, Anjali. I'm really glad. Do you think you have any suggestions or comments for viewers?
Just try to be an ally, use respectful language, use right pronouns, and don't dead name. And yes, we all need to work on our biases.
Thank you so much, Anjali, for joining us for our webinar. I hope our viewers loved this webinar as much as I did. Thank you so much, Anjali.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that was certainly a wonderful session. Thank you all for joining us. Remember, love is love, regardless of sex, gender, age, religion, or culture. I wish you all a lots of love, happiness, and joy. Please be kind to each other and stay safe.